Okay, I see it's recording. Awesome, Lindsay, you're good. There's nothing further you need to do, and the recording will stop automatically when I end the meeting at the end of class. So, all right, so let's do attendance. Okay, is Ashley here? Arroyo.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hello, Kevin. All right, Damien.
Yes, I'm here, Professor.
Okay, wonderful. Liz, I see you there, so you're good. Alexa.
Here.
All right, awesome. Cynthia Fernandez. Joshua Garcia.
Here.
Okay, great. Rachel Goldstein.
I'm here.
All right. Amy Guzman. Probably not here. Ashley Hoyos.
I'm here.
Okay. Let's see. Robin, do you want to mute yourself? I think you're unmuted right now.
Mute myself?
Yeah, I got it. I muted you. You're good. I could just hear some background noise, so you're good. Okay. Isha. All right. Let's see. Isha. Sonali.
Here.
Okay, great. Robin is here. And Robin, are you ready to present tonight?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, wonderful. So when you start your presentation, it will be at 8:15, okay? And
Okay.
maybe we'll have you start even a little bit sooner than that because it takes a minute for you students to adjust to presenting on Zoom. So
Okay.
yeah. Okay, Cynthia, got you here. Okay, let's see. So Lindsay, yes, is here. Ingrid,
Here.
all right, wonderful. Aziz, Brian Perez, Diana,
Here.
great. Larice, Janice, I see you there. Hi.
Hi.
Bobby Ann, Maria, Daniel Rodriguez. Daniel, you're okay, great. Awesome. I see you. Wonderful. Daniela.
I'm here.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Susanna Sanchez. Um,
Professor, I'm here. It's Larice.
oh, Lori.
Yeah.
Georgina.
Here, sorry, I had to log in on my phone, so it's showing
Oh,
me as like
okay.
a guest.
I see. I see you. And Madison. Okay. All right. All right. You don't have to apologize. I got you. All right. So the people who are absent are Maria and Bobby Ann. And let's see, Heaven is not here. Amy Guzman and Isha and Aziz. And I think that, oh, here's Isha. Let me let Isha in. Okay, here we go. All right. Awesome. So let's get started. The first thing that I wanted to share with you guys was so when we were talking about informal control in the workplace, these videos have been popping up on my YouTube feed that are animated videos of conflicts in the workplace between two female workers. And The videos are amazing, and I had wanted to show it to you. I could not like find it though, like who the creator was, or I couldn't track it down. Like I tried Googling it and I couldn't find it. Um, I found it though. It finally came up on my phone again. And so even though we were talking about informal control in the workplace a few weeks ago, I just want to go back to it. And then after that, I actually want us to go back to talking about medical control because we only had one day to talk about it last week, and there's still a lot to be said. And it's actually really funny that there was a study that just came out literally, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, that actually shows how the abortion bans are affecting women's pregnancies and rate of childbirth. So we finally have a scientific study showing the effect of Dobbs on women's abortions in different states depending on the law in the states. So we're going to look at that too because it's really interesting research. So whether you agree with abortion or not, regardless of whether how you feel about abortion, it's nevertheless, we're talking about laws that are controlling the behavior of women. So yeah, Cynthia, I will share the source. Yeah. And so anyway, so regardless of how you feel about it, like, we're definitely looking at an instance of women's bodies being controlled through the legal slash medical system. So yeah, so we're going to look at that too before we get into talking about the topic for this week, which is intersectionality. So here we are, we're finally talking about intersectionality. And then Robin is going to be doing our class presentation tonight. So really excited for that. All right, so we got a lot to talk about. I also have an idea for extra credit. I will float it with you guys and see if it sounds good to you because I know that stuff can come up and it can prevent you from submitting stuff, or maybe you get your classes confused or something. And, so I want to give you an extra credit opportunity besides, the recording of the classes. So we'll talk about that. Okay, so let me first share these videos with you. I'm just going to show you one of them. And Madison, I see your message. That's totally fine. No worries. Okay, so I'm going to share these videos with you before we start looking at, our assignments for tonight. So, okay, so let me just share my screen. And I was so excited when this video popped up on my feed because I've been trying to track it down and I had no idea how to find it. The creator is called G Plus Animation. So I didn't really take the time to look at who this actual creator is, but it's like a sociologist is making these videos, a sociologist who studies the control of women, social control of women. I mean, it's like so relevant. There's all these different topics. And okay, so yes, this one is, let's see, there's so many of them that are so good. Let's see which one here. How about, okay, why don't we do, all right, we'll do one of the shorts here. Okay. Oh, she's a TikToker, Ashley. Thank you. See, I didn't know who was creating these. They're just so fascinating. But all right, let's check this out. I'm sorry, I just want to make sure that I have my sound being shared. Yes, it is being shared. Okay, all right. So let's watch one of these videos and then we can discuss it, how it relates to the themes that we've been looking at in this class.
Hi, Veronica. Come on in, have a seat. Okay, thank you. So as you can see, your manager's here, and they're basically just here so she can provide an account of what she believes happened. It looks like you filed some paperwork incorrectly. There was a list and you went from the bottom up instead of from the top down, and that is the incorrect way to do it. So we are going to have to write you up. Is there anything that you want to say about that? Oh yeah, she told me to do it from the bottom up. What? No, I did not say that, Veronica. Don't say that I said that because I did not say that. Are you sure you want to stick to that story? It's not a story. I'm sticking to it because it's the truth. I did not tell you to start from the bottom up. Why would I do that? Okay, so there's no way to prove that she told you. As a matter of fact, Maria, there is a way to prove it. I have a recording of her telling me to do it because I had a feeling that she was going to pull something like this. No, that's illegal. You can't play a recording. I didn't consent to that. We're not on Law and Order. And I'm not presenting this to a judge as Exhibit A. I'm presenting this to Maria to show her that you're a liar because you have a tendency to tell people one thing and then say that you didn't say that and cover your ass. So sorry. Nope. I recorded you because I knew you were going to do something like this. Veronica, so I know that Maria prefers for you to work that list from the top down, but I think we're just gonna do it from the bottom up. There's just I don't see the reason, I don't see the point of doing it from the top down. And there's a couple more people, that we want to look out for, starting at the bottom because of their last name. So just go ahead and do it from the bottom, okay? Veronica, you're excused. I need to speak with Janet. Thank you, Maria. I'm going home. You can't leave for the day. You have work to finish. With the shit you just pulled, you better be lucky that all I'm doing is going home for the day and not reporting you to HR for a hostile work environment. Hi, Veronica. Come on in. Have a seat. Okay, thank you. So as you can see, your manager's here.
All right, so does anybody want to share their comments on it or break this down for us in terms of how it relates to what we've been discussing in the class? What are we seeing happen here in this scene? Yeah. Yeah, the Law and Order reference is good. But like, who wants to contextualize this sociologically? Like, how does this relate to what we've been discussing in the class? What is it an example of? It's an example of a lot of different things. Oh, interesting. So Daniel said layered informal control that veers into legal control. Yeah, actually, I wasn't thinking about that, but definitely like right. Well, it is showing, yes, how informal control in the workplace often does intersect with legal control at the same time. Does anybody want to add to that? That was a really great start, Daniel. I think that, but what are we seeing here? Like, how about who are the people who are interacting? Like, what's their identity? Or, how are we seeing this informal control play out? Who is trying to control whom, gender wise? Yeah, it's right. See, Daniel, that's for that reason, like I thought that it was so interesting that it's really showing us how much of the social control of women happens by other women. Like we've been talking about how there is no such thing as society. There's men and there's women and there's children. And, so the question is always like who is the who, and who is society controlling women. And we see here that it's women, that the boss is a woman and the woman is controlling another woman. That, we see patriarchy operating here through women as the agents of patriarchy, that women themselves are being the agents of patriarchy and trying to like control one another and dominate one another through this informal means of control, these rules, these very arbitrary rules set up in the workplace about, going through the list from the top to the bottom or the bottom up. I mean, it's so senseless and such nonsense, but that's what offices are like. There's rules like that need to be followed. And so we see that the one woman who does the recording, she is in spite of the fact that she is being controlled, that she is the subject of social control, she has exerted her own agency through secretly recording her employer. And so it also shows how women control each other, but that women also have ways, like sort of subtle, subverted ways of finding agency, even in situations where they are lacking power, agencies where they are circumstances where they are disempowered, they are still finding ways to find agency. So I think that it encapsulates a lot of different ways of social control. And yeah, coercive forms of control. That's right, it is coercion. We haven't really talked about coercion, like how we define coercion sociologically. Last week we were looking at how nowadays the definitions of domestic violence include coercion, but we haven't really like defined coercion. I'll have to look up like a good definition of that. But anyway, I thought these videos were great. I just love it when I see, you like these ideas that we talk about in this class can be like so heavy and so theoretical. And yet it can be fun too. We can be looking at it from a perspective of humor. I mean, these videos are sort of funny in a way. That there's sort of humor in the darkness of this. And there's actually a name for that type of humor. So when you have humor that's looking at a really, really sad topic, which it's a universal, all cultures have ways of joking about really, really sad things because it's a way of communicating about it in a way that people can actually, that's relatable or that makes it socially acceptable. It's a way to communicate about it, and have it still be, palatable. The term for that is called gallows humor, and it actually has to do with the gallows. So here, I'll show you guys. But this is a good example of that, of gallows humor. There's some anthropologists who study gallows humor, but gallows humor is grim and ironic humor in a desperate or hopeless situation. And it actually relates to the gallows. So the gallows was the place where a person was hanged. Back when we had capital punishment by hanging, the gallows was the wooden structure where the person would stand who was going to be executed. It was called a gallows. And so the humor that would then ensue, there would be humor. Maybe he would crack a joke with his executioner as a way to diffuse the tension. Maybe people in the crowd would start laughing or like crack a joke to diffuse the awfulness of what they were about to see. That is called gallows humor. And universally, all societies have forms of gallows humor, of joking about things that like are so inappropriate to joke about, and yet joking about it, it's a way of like taking some of the tension off of it. It's a way of communicating about an otherwise uncommunicatable situation, something that otherwise you would never dare speak of. So yeah, sort of just like an interesting little example of that. All right, so before we get into talking about this other thing that I want to go over, this continuation of talking about medical control of women through the overturning of Roe v. Wade, which we'll get into in a minute, and I'll share the references with you. I just wanted to share with you an idea I had for extra credit that would that would like potentially be something hopefully everybody would in here would be interested in. So we haven't really talked about it yet in this class, and it's been something I've been wanting to share with you, and it's an idea that is related to social control, and that is the concept of the second shift. So here, why don't I just put it into Google, the second shift. So the second shift is an idea that actually was generated by the same sociologist who came up with the concept of emotional labor. So I don't know if you guys remember, about a few weeks ago in here, we were talking about emotional labor. Do you guys remember what emotional labor is? Does anybody want to remind us what emotional labor is? Do you guys remember what emotional labor is? We talked about it a few weeks ago.
Basically, you have to fake an emotion when you communicate with people.
Yes, exactly. And it's like very psychologically taxing and physically taxing too, because psychological stress has a real physical impact on our body. If to say nothing else, physical, psychological stress, it raises your blood pressure, and having your blood pressure raised is a form of inflammation, and inflammation affects all your organs and interferes with all of your physical processes. So emotional labor is very, very real psychologically and physiologically in terms of its, ramifications. So the same sociologist who named emotional labor is this, she also named the second shift. The second shift typically refers to a work schedule that begins, all right, basically means what the second shift is this idea, it's a jet, I like, hypothetically, a gendered form of labor that women mostly are the ones who have to engage in it. It is the work that you do when your work ends. So when your work ends, it is the work that starts, like doing the laundry, cleaning the house, cooking, going out and picking up dinner for your family, or whatever, however you feed your family as a female, if that's your role, howsoever you do that task, that responsibility, that is the second shift. And we could see it as a form of social control because, you know, um, so I was actually just reading right now. I'm reading this book that just came out, this whistleblower book that just came out about Facebook. It is a total page turner. I can't even recommend it enough. It's called Careless People. It's written by a woman who had worked at Facebook for almost 10 years, and it's really the first tell all to come out that that's really hit the bestseller list. And it's just so eye-opening about Facebook and about social media. But it's interesting because when Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg, we talked about Sheryl Sandberg in here, we talked about her idea of leaning in. But when they were kind of like coming up with how the company would be structured, they actually intentionally hired fewer employees so that they would have more work, because they figured the more work they had, the more occupied they were, the less they would think about what was actually happening, the less that they would question what was happening at the company, the less they would question the power structure of the company, the more compliant they would be, the busier they were. And so the executives at Facebook, as a result, they work, like starting 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. They go home, they work till 1 a.m. and then they start their work again at home at 5 a.m. So it's really like they get 4 hours of sleep and that's it. And that was very intentional when the company was structuring itself. And so you might say the second shift is sort of like that. You could argue that at some, I don't know if we don't necessarily need to see it as that it was like a conscious intentional decision at some point in society. But why does it persist? Why does it continue? Because it means that women are constantly so occupied that they can't organize, they can't question patriarchy, they can't question authority, because they are so bogged down with their work that they're doing in the office and then having to do the second shift. It is a form of social control. So whether you agree with that hypothesis or not, is okay. But we're going to test it. I think it would be interesting for an extra credit assignment to test the hypothesis that it's women who do more second shift work than men. Because in this class, we have students like of all the different genders. And so for extra credit, if you guys want to do this assignment, you could spend a week tracking your hours of work. So that would be, if you don't have a job outside of school, that would be your school work, and then plus your job work if you are doing a job also. And then tracking also your second shift hours, which is like the laundry, the cleaning, the housework, the childcare, the domestic work. And we could compare at the end of the semester to see who had had more second shift hours, whether it had been the male students or the female students. So does that sound like something that would be interesting to you guys, just to have a week of tracking your hours, your work hours, and then your domestic second shift hours? Would that be something you'd be interested in? We could do it as a class experiment. Yeah, okay.
Sounds fun, yeah.
Yeah, all right, let's do it. Let's do it. And you don't even want to see my hours. I'm afraid to see mine. Like I actually really am. So I don't know if I'm gonna participate in it. I don't know, maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I know that my hours are really scary. So I don't have a lot of downtime. And that's the whole argument is like that second shift supposedly is like a gendered sort of labor. But we're going to test that. We're going to see if that is actually true. Because the thing is that I have known many males who have done a lot of domestic labor, who are the caretaker for their children or for their parents or, for their wife. And they are doing the first shift and they are doing the second shift. So, I don't know if it's fair to say that it is something that's just women, but that's the original hypothesis, is that it is just women. So, all right, cool. Well, that's agreed then. So I will create that assignment and I'll post it and everybody will have a chance to do it if you want to do it. And then we can look and see at the end of the semester. It won't be necessarily such a systematic, um, quantitative analysis, but we can at least take a look and see if there's any trends, anything interesting that comes from it. So, all right, awesome. Okay, so let's take a look here at these sources that have just come out about the effect of the Dobbs decision on women's abortion making. And so, all right, let me stop my share because I actually have to log in to the article here, and I will share the links with you guys so that you have the resources as well. So let me just go ahead and log in. All right. Okay. All right. So, first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to share the links right now in the chat so that you guys the um have the article links. All right. Okay, Brian, I see your message there. Just make sure to stay at the end to remind me to get you down for attendance. But okay, so all right, so here is the first article. All right, hopefully that link is going to work for everybody. Let me get you the link for the second one. And I mean, this just came out. It's brand new. Yeah. This one of these headlines is actually a little bit wild. So here is the second link. And okay, so I got the arrest. There was a midwife who was just arrested, actually. Okay, and then they've got the upshot. Okay, so there's one more. Let me just share it with you. All right, and then here's the third one. Okay, so now you guys have the links to all three of the articles, so make sure to get a hold of that and keep it noted if it's something that's going to be useful to you. So, all right, so let's take a look at it now. Let me just share. This here. Okay. All right. So this is okay. This was the study that I wanted to share with you guys. Okay, so this is the new study. So there was a new study of birth data from 2023 that just came out, and that's what this article is about. It's about this new study that just came out that's looking at birth data from 2023. And what they found is that abortion bans successfully prevented some women from getting abortions in the immediate aftermath of the Supreme Court's overturning of Roe v. Wade, according to a detailed new study of birth data from 2023. So here it is. Like, here's the actual numbers for what we were hypothesizing about last week in class. Like, here's the actual study that's sharing it. And it says, and this relates to intersectionality, which is what we're talking about this week. It says that the effects were most pronounced among women in certain groups: Black and Hispanic women, women without a college degree, and women living farthest from a clinic. Um, Abortion has continued to rise since the period the data covers, especially through pills shipped into states without bans, shipped into states with bans, which is what we were talking about. But the study identifies the groups of women who are most likely to be affected by bans. So this perfectly connects to talking about intersectionality. Okay, so the abortion bans increased births. In other words, like there were more pregnancies, that happened that probably wouldn't have happened before the decision. And the decision, we'll look at the map in a second because this map is really handy actually for looking at where the actual bans are. But in those places, there's more births now because women don't have as easy access to abortion. So as you can see, the relative change in births in 2023 for all women goes up by 2.8%, but especially for Hispanic women and Black women, it went up by 3.8% and 3.2% respectively, which is much more, like a third more than for white women, where it only went up 2%. Women with no college education, it went up 3 times as much, 3.1%, having more, giving birth more. Also in unmarried women, and then parental status had an impact on it too. So they did this really cool quantitative analysis, showing, that the impact that these bans are actually really having, that they are really having an effect on women, women's pregnancies, and women are having children much more. Hispanic and Black women, the 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 births might very much increase because their access has decreased so much to abortion. And so here is a map of the abortion bans around the country. So, okay, so a full ban on abortion is in the states that are in dark red. So you have Idaho, South Dakota, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, and West Virginia. They have a full abortion ban. And then the other states are, graded based off of the colors graded based off of whether it's a 6-week ban or 12-week ban or 8-week ban. And then the last article actually just came out today because it actually just happened that there was let's see this. Oh, good, it closed. Okay. So Texas arrests midwife and associate on charges of providing abortion. So there were 2 arrests that were made in the greater Houston area where it was a midwife where she was actually pulled over by police at gunpoint for violating the abortion ban. And up until this point, like people with the bans, like no one had really been arrested. It hadn't been enforced in that way. It hadn't been enforced in such a direct manner. So this is the first enforcement of it involving an arrest, actually, and that just happened yesterday, actually, in Texas. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And before we talk about how that connects to intersectionality, obviously this is like a very clear picture of medical control of women, intersecting with legal control of women too. So, does anybody have any comments about this that they want to share or questions about these sources that I just shared with you? Does this surprise anybody or not at all? Is anybody not surprised by it?
No, for me, I feel that I kind of saw it coming.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people probably did. And if you are a student of intersectionality, then I think that yes, that this was could have been predicted actually. Absolutely. And we'll listen to Kimberly Crenshaw talk about intersectionality in a minute, and we'll look at the reading for this week in a minute. But yeah, the fact that it disproportionately affects women of color, I think, yeah, that it definitely seems like something that everybody predicted would happen. And so these numbers are just proving what people had thought. And so let's talk about what intersectionality is, because this is a perfect example of it. This is a perfect example of intersectionality. So let's look at the reading for this week. That's what the reading is about, is intersectionality. So let me head over to that. And Daniel said, I think it's interesting how it draws a connection to Chinese feminism in a way. Oh, I feel like children under capitalism and patriarchy are showing to be more and more objectified and used as chess pieces now. That's really true. I didn't think about that, but yeah, it really like relates back to what we were talking last week about Chinese women, that yes, they are objectified and they are chess pieces under capitalism and patriarchy. China is actually though China is communist. I mean, China is capitalist and communist. They're at this weird like crossroads, very unstable crossroads between capitalism and communism. But yeah, their fertility is something that is being controlled there. And here we see the same thing actually, that, women's fertility also being like a pawn in this big legal medical chess game. So let's look at these assignments, and let's look at the reading that you're going to be doing. So I'm going to head over to that. And okay, so all right, so let's go to home and go into the learner view. Okay, so the reading that you guys are doing this week is it is a seminal piece in the theory of intersectionality. We're going to be looking at these two different scholars. One of them is Gloria Anzaldúa. And here's one of her quotes: "A woman who writes has power, and a woman with power is feared." I think that's pretty interesting. We're going to look at a little bit about her, and then also we're looking at the writing of Kimberly Crenshaw. So sadly, Gloria Anzaldúa has passed on, but Kimberly Crenshaw is a law professor actually at Columbia University. So that's where she is a teacher. And so the reading that you're going to be doing is you are reading the article is, hold on a second. Widget just came up. Okay, it's gone now. It's called Mapping the Margins, and it's sort of like the Bible of intersectionality. It was the piece that really started this whole movement of talking about intersectionality. So I'm going to open it up here, and you'll see that it's really long. It is 60 pages, but it's good to practice our skills at learning how to read a really long document in the most time efficient manner as possible. Because in the real world, you're always going to have things that you have to read that, you're not going to have the time to read the entire thing, no matter what career field you choose. So it's a good opportunity to practice our skimming skills. And when you're skimming an article that's 60 pages, the part that you do not skim is the introduction. You read all of the introduction and you look at the headings. they will always give you a good sense of where the article is going and the argument. So this is actually a legal essay, and we are going to be watching a talk where Kimberly Crenshaw discusses the legal dimensions of intersectionality. And because of that, there are a lot of footnotes. This is a law journal article, and that's why you see just a preponderance of footnotes. That is the legal writing style. And, footnotes sometimes are the most interesting part of an article. So maybe it's not something you want to skip, but if you are short on time, you don't always need to read the footnotes. You can skip the footnotes unless it's something that is, relevant to a point that you're trying to understand in the article. So that's how I recommend that you get through it, is like really read that introduction really well and look at the subheadings and sort of skim the rest of the subheadings, and that will give you a good sense of what she's discussing in this article. So keep in mind, though, like I said, intersectionality was first conceived of as a legal concept to aid in the defense of women of color in different lawsuits, different issues coming up having to do with legal control, or other aspects, other lawsuits in which women of color were involved in. And so I have a talk from Kimberly Crenshaw where she's going to discuss all this, where she's going to talk about how the relevance of intersectionality to the legal sphere. And we will look at that. So we'll do that on Thursday. Thursday, we'll watch this video where Kimberly Crenshaw defines what intersectionality is for us and gives us an example of it and explains like why it matters in, a legal sense. And we'll talk about that. And we'll also look at the work of Gloria Anzaldúa, who was more of a poet. She was more of a novelist. So she's coming at it from the arts. She was coming at it from more of a humanities perspective, and she's coming at it from an identity of being Latina, having a dual identity as a Latina woman and, an American woman. So her thematics are more about that. Okay, so we'll put a pin in it for right now because I just want to make sure that we give Robin enough time to present, because sometimes it can take a little bit to get everything all set up. So Robin, are you ready to present?
I believe I'm ready. Professor, what I forgot to mention to you before, I'm still new with Zoom, and I never worked with PowerPoint, so I sent you the link. I
Okay.
do have my PowerPoint ready, but I wasn't sure if I could share my screen. I just never did this before, so
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I was a little nervous. I was like, oh, I should have
Yeah.
told you this before.
Yeah, we
Um,
talked about that. Yeah, no,
okay,
that's totally fine. Yeah, of
okay,
course, of course. So let me stop my share and then I will pull your PowerPoint up so that I can click through it if you need me to.
okay.
So yeah,
So, am I supposed to share my screen now,
I
or
I will give you make you co-host in a minute. I just have to open up my
okay?
Zoom here. Uh, okay, so let me just really quickly now open my email. Um, so did you email it to me already?
Yes, I emailed it to you right before the class.
Oh, you did? Okay, it's not showing up here.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna junk it. Maybe it'll be okay though. Do you want to
Okay,
try? Yeah,
okay,
let's just
let's
try.
try.
And then if not, there's actually a way for you to send it to me through the chat, and we can just do that.
Okay.
So okay, all right, here we go. So I'm just gonna make you a co-host. And you should be good to go now.
All right. I figured this would happen. I don't know. It's not letting me share.
That's okay. If you go into the chat, you can attach a file and then I will
Okay.
go through and share my screen and just tell me when to go through when to click to a new
Okay.
screen.
Um, oh gosh. No, okay. All right, hold on. Sorry.
That's okay. Don't apologize. My computer closed down in my last class. It was crazy. It just froze. All right, here we go. Oh, awesome topic.
Okay.
It's nice. Oh my gosh, love it.
I'm like, this is my first time working with PowerPoint, everything. I don't like,
It's going to become so second nature to you, though. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Okay, here we go. And you have to tell us who the name of that celebrity is because I don't know.
That is a picture of Lizzo.
That's Lizzo?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can get it to go to the. Oh,
You want
yeah,
to put
yeah.
it in?
Yeah, I should be able to do that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. So I can go ahead, right?
Yes, you may start.
All right. Back in my day, presenting, we just had index cards and a nice suit and just go on, right? I know you, class, I know you're probably looking at Lizzo. I'm like, why is Lizzo here? But we're going to get to that. I decided to do my presentation on body shaming. Next slide. Social control is the regulation of behavior to conform to social norms and values. In sociology, the two primary types of social control are formal, which is enforced through established laws and institutions like the police, and informal, which is maintained through social norms, customs, and peer pressure within the community. Both work together to regulate individual behavior and maintain social order. I chose to speak on informal social control. Next slide. Body shaming. The action or practice of mocking or stigmatizing someone by making critical comments about the shape, size, or appearance of their body. Body shaming can target people of all ages, genders, and for a variety of reasons, including but not limited to being overweight, aka fat shaming, too thin, too tall, having skin issues, and more. Where does body shaming occur? Well, it can occur anywhere: home, school, work, online, social media platforms. It can be seen on TV shows, movies, commercials, magazines, billboards. Comments can be made from your family, such as your parents, siblings, friends, teachers, co-workers, or most often yourself. We be our own worst critic, right? Um, what does body shaming look like? Well, critiquing our own appearance through judging or comparing ourselves, mocking, teasing, or criticizing someone else's appearance face to face, gossiping about someone's looks, or making negative comments behind their back. Next slide. Examples of body shaming. Number one is self-criticism. I do it all the time. I'm sure you guys do it. For the ladies, we'll get a dress, we'll put it on, and we love the dress on the model, but when we get it and we put it on, it's just like it's not giving what we thought it would give, right? Self-criticism is the act of evaluating oneself, particularly one's behavior, work, or performance, often in a negative way. The tendency to engage in negative self-evaluation that results in feelings of worthlessness, failure, and guilt when expectations are not met. It can involve harsh scrutiny, negative reactions, perceived failures, and not living up to one's ideals. This is also linked to depression, social phobia, eating disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Origins can stem from early childhood relationships, such as strict parents, demanding teachers, or peer pressure. Effects can lead to low self-esteem, and anxiety. Backhanded compliments. I think that's like the worst. Backhanded compliments, they tell you something nice with something negative at the end, right? So backhanded compliment is a positive remark that contains a subtle insult or criticism given a compliment while also putting someone else down. A way of making a negative comment disguised as a positive one, often used to undermine someone's confidence or criticize them. It can be very hurtful, even through disguise as a compliment that can be damage to someone's self-esteem. I mean, I know from my past experience in backhanded compliments is one of the compliments that I get often is I'm pretty for a big girl. Like, what does that mean? I wasn't always big. I was small at one point and I was pretty then, so I'm pretty now. So you don't need to add the pretty as a big girl. That's one of the compliments that I had to, backhanded compliments that I had to deal with in the last couple of years after I gained a few pounds. Tabloids and advertisement. Magazines mocking a celebrity for doing little things like crying, not wearing makeup, or leaving the gym. The intent is to embarrass the person by showing them uncapped, promoting diet pills with the before and after pics, and then the anti-aging products. All that is sending messages that we should be more concerned with our appearance and strive to look better. Next slide. I'm going to play this video and then I'm going to talk about it afterward.
All right, hopefully my computer's not going to crash while I do this. So
sometimes I feel like the world just don't love me back.
Singer Lizzo is in tears.
I feel so down. I worked so hard.
She says she's being fat shamed and the target of racist comments on social media after the debut of her new video, Rumors.
All the rumors are true.
It's a collaboration with a pregnant Cardi B. She's now addressing the comments head on.
It's fatphobic. And it's racist and it's hurtful.
Ironically, lyrics in the song deal with body shaming. Wearing a wig cap, she shares her pain.
It's like it doesn't matter how much positive energy you put into the world, you're still gonna have people who have something mean to say about you.
Lizzo couldn't hide her sadness.
I worked so hard.
Okay. In this video, that's Melissa Vivian Jefferson, better known to us as Lizzo. She's an American rapper, singer, and plays the flute. She became mainstream after her third album, Cause I Love You, in 2019. However, in 2021, after she released this video, as you've seen, for the song Rumors, which featured Cardi B, and debuted in the top 5 on the Billboard Hit 100, Lizzo had this meltdown. Lizzo, to be known to be part of the plus size community, advocated for loving yourself for who you are, got tired of the fat phobic people leaving nasty comments and remarks on social media. She broke down and cried in this video. Next slide. That's another picture of Lizzo. Effects of body shaming. It can be very damaging to a person's well-being. Emotionally, mentally, and physically. A person may adopt an unhealthy attitude which can impair social functioning and interactions. Consequently, many individuals may be at risk of developing serious psychological and physical health conditions, low self-esteem, depression and anxiety, eating disorders such as anorexia and bulimia, body dysmorphia, self-harming, suicidal behaviors, and extreme concern with body image that leads to unhealthy behaviors such as strict diets, rigid exercise plans, and numerous cosmetic procedures to change or enhance appearance. Next slide. Why does body shaming happen? Well, family, friends, peers, culture, social media, celebrities, and advertisements all factor in how we view our self-image. We always compare it. Society forces us to focus on physical appearance and how we should lose and how we should look. Body image is a normal topic. Social media promotes flawless bodies and the pressure of always trying to fit in this perfect mold. Next slide. And this is a picture of Lizzo now. How can we prevent body shaming? I put a few ways, which is replace negative self-talk with positive body and self-affirmations. And for an example, this dress is pretty, but it would look better if my stomach was smaller. Instead of this dress fits like a glove. You are perfect just the way you are. Accept yourself as you are. Feel good in your body. Take care of your body because it holds your soul. Respect your body. Your ideal weight is health, not a number. You are worthy of good health and your looks will come naturally. Look beyond your body and use your strengths. Look beyond your physical appearance and try to acknowledge all of you, such as your personality traits and characteristics. Think about all the qualities you love about yourself besides looks. Are you honest, loyal, thoughtful, smart, or funny? I like to think I'm funny. Can you sing, play an instrument, draw, or paint? Self-care is the best care. Maintain an overall good health, eat healthy, get enough sleep, tend to personal hygiene, journal, socialize with friends, do all kinds of things. Exercise to increase a positive feeling about your body. Change what you listen to and watch. Think about the TV shows. Are they realistic? Social media pages that you follow, are there positive views? What's the message in the music you listen to? All that incorporates how you look at yourself. Surround yourself with more positive people who do not engage in body shaming, people who are accepting towards themselves and others, more inspiring people, more encouraging people. Develop self-compassion. Practice self-love. Embrace your entire being, including your strengths and weaknesses, triumphs and challenges, successes and mistakes. Benefits of self-love may decrease anxiety, depression, risks of substance use, lower fears of failure, stable self-worth, improve motivation, even when forced with challenges. It also improves physical health, a healthier lifestyle choice, and enhanced relationships, the ability to set healthy boundaries. And if all that fails, there's therapy. Getting help through therapy can be beneficial for managing your distress stemming from your body shaming. Having professional support can provide you with a safety, validating space to express and process painful memories and emotions. Next slide. This is a before and after of Lizzo. I would like to think that she chose to start eating healthier and not so much focusing on them fat comments, but I think what she did was she decided to feel good about herself by exercising. So my final thoughts are body shaming is terrible, and nobody should ever, ever, ever have to encounter the negative feeling. As I use Lizzo for example, there are ways to overcome it. Move towards a positive mindset, be around positive people, love on yourself more, and get help. You are worth it. That's my presentation.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Robin. That was so inspiring. That was awesome. I love Lizzo. So
Thank
embarrassed I didn't recognize her at first because yeah, of course. I mean, I listen to her music. I love her. I think she's awesome. So
Well, the outfit she had on, she chose that outfit for, I forgot what that was for. It might have been for the Grammys. I'm not sure. She chose that to cover herself up. She didn't want to deal with she is overweight. She knows it. And she just, I guess she felt, I don't know, but I'm guessing she felt a little embarrassed, and she wanted to play on, she likes to play on people and their comments and stuff.
right. It's like when Selena Gomez wore that huge fur jacket in her engagement picture. It's just sort of
Mhm.
like it's an active agency, saying like
Yeah.
I'm going to set the boundaries about what you get to see and what you don't get to see. You don't get to see me right now, and that's my decision. So,
Yeah.
all right. So, how about some questions or comments for Robin?
That was a
I've
lot for
got
me.
questions and comments too, and it was awesome. It was the
Okay.
PowerPoint was really well done. It was
Thank
perfect.
you.
Okay, so Georgina said that was great. I think that's Georgina. Anybody have any questions or comments based on what Robin was talking about there about? So Rachel says, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Um, well, starting, I really loved your presentation, and I know like it's so crazy because obviously like her weight was criticized like in the beginning of her career, and even though she has lost weight and she's doing it for herself, like she's still getting criticism for that too because a lot of people, I've seen like both sides of it, where some people were like um they were saying like you're losing weight and wait, like I don't know how to word this, but they were kind of like there are people who are kind of mad at her for losing weight because they think it's like kind of going back on her body positivity message, but I disagree with that because obviously like if she's doing it for herself, that in itself is body positivity. And then there's also like people who are saying like, oh, like she's just on Ozempic. And I feel like that's like such a default insult when they see like a woman losing weight, like they'll just automatically say like, oh, it's Ozempic. So I just like wanted your thoughts on like her criticism of losing weight.
So here's the thing. She never said that she wanted to stay overweight. Her whole thing was love yourself how you are, who you are, whatever. Be confident. So now they want to make it seem like, oh, because she's losing weight, now she's no longer going to be fat. And see, that was the problem in the beginning because nobody should have been calling her fat, right? And now that she's toning up, she's doing this to feel good about herself. It's not about losing weight. Like I said, the weight is just a number. Her health was important. And as you get older, you start to think about that. I just joined the gym 3 months ago and I'm 45, and I just was like, you know what? My bones are not the same. My joints are not the same. I need to get out there. And I'm doing it for myself, not so much to lose weight or to look better in my dress because I'm confident, but not everybody's the same. And that's the whole purpose of, to me, this is why I chose to chop it, because I want, if I can encourage other people to just feel good about themselves the way they are right this moment, then that's something that I will talk about all the time. Thank you, Lindsay.
Isha, I think that talking about the Ozempic thing, that's a perfect example of what Robin was calling a backhanded compliment. And it's
Yep.
also a microaggression. you know, because it's like saying that she's doing it the lazy way or something, you know, that implying, yeah, Ashley, no problem. I see your message there. But yeah, it's like the Ozempic thing is, because I know that if I were working really hard to lose weight and then somebody said it was just Ozempic, I would feel like that they're taking away from me the effort that I'm putting into it, you know, degrading me. So I think it's a good example of that. Other comments and questions? So I can give a little bit of a historical perspective on this too, which I haven't shared yet in this class. But the fact that our obsession with our appearances, sociologists say, is actually relates back to the topic of organic versus mechanical solidarity, which I know we talked about so long ago. And it's sort of like one of those concepts where, you know, it sounds so theoretical, but it actually makes so much sense because the whole idea between organic versus mechanical solidarity is that there used to be a time when we lived our lives living in these villages where everybody knew each other and you knew somebody your whole life. That was mechanical solidarity. Like Robin, I would have known you. We would have grown up. We would, all of us, we would have, I would be the teacher to every child in the village and there would just be like we'd have like 5 students at a time, you know, that was mechanical solidarity. And so people's appearances didn't matter as much because people knew each other like deep down. And it's when we started to sort of branch off and move into different cities and turn into an organic solidarity type of society where we only know each other because of a job or a transaction or something, that's when appearances started to matter. It's because we stopped really knowing others and people stopped really knowing us, and it all became about how do you look just in that instant, you know, first impression. And so that's what sociologists say about like where does this obsession comes from? It comes from that we only have first impressions with others nowadays. We don't have like societies that we live in or villages that we live in where we know everyone and everyone knows us and there's something more to judge us on. So that's like a little bit more of like a historical dimension to it, you know, about why appearance matters so much. Because like we just have all these first impressions with people all day long and we see somebody for 30 seconds and you know and that's it, and that's all we have to show somebody about ourselves instead of knowing them for a whole lifetime. So and okay, let's see. And of course it became a huge business in the process too. Like it became corporatized and it became, you know, a huge business that so many people are making, you know, money off of. But yeah, and Daniel added also being able to profit off people wanting to feel confident. That's right. Yeah, Daniel, yes, the male gaze definitely it goes hand in hand with that. It goes hand in hand with these lives that we're living where it's just like, and it's true even in like, you know, dating and everything too. Like when you see somebody, you see their picture on the app and that's it. That's all you got to decide. Do you swipe left or swipe right or whatever way you go? I don't know which way is the good way or the bad way because I didn't meet my husband that way, but like, you know, everybody, that's what people do is they do dating apps. And how are you going to judge someone? It's like the appearance, it's all superficial. We live in the most ultra superficial society. That's how it is set up. And that's like, you know, so that's why appearances matter so much, is that's all we have is the visual. We don't have anything more than that anymore. So anyway, but well, to be continued. I'm going to see you guys again on Thursday and we'll discuss it more. But Robin, thank you so much. That was so, so awesome. I love Lizzo. I love learning about her. So I love the flute too. But anyway, all right, guys. So I'm going to actually end the class so that the recording stops. And if anybody needs to meet with me, I will reopen the meeting and just join the meeting when I reopen it. Okay. And we can meet then. But anyway, awesome job, you guys. Thank you, Robin.
No
I'll
problem.
see you guys on Thursday. And Aziz, let me get you down here.
Thank you, Professor. Good night. Actually, I'll
Right.
stay after. I'll
Okay.
stay after class. I came a little bit late. I don't know
Okay.
if you could, I don't know if you got my attendance.
Yeah, yes, yes. Cross out here, Heaven. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Good night, everybody. Bye, guys.